UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. This is the coming great deception. However, when we go up, they come down. When we go up, they show up. I'm your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. We're going to be talking about, that's right, more disclosure. The question is this another rung on the ladder of disclosure? I'm not sure. It's sort of old news to us. And in the book, Rungs of Disclosure, we've sort of already covered that. So they're sort of recapitulating that, if I can use that musical term, and that would be rung. And let me just get to it right here. Yes, that is the 13th rung, Robert Salus, UFO encounter over Maalstrom. And we'll be talking about that today. But first, a word from our very trusted sponsor. Folks, the feds are out of options. Rate cuts, money printing, balance sheet reversals. They call it policy, but it's really panic. This is endgame economics, where hope replaces discipline, and the illusion of control finally breaks. They're not cutting rates because things are strong. They're cutting because the system is cracking. Inflation's eating your savings. The labor market's stalling. Confidence in the dollar is fading fast. For decades, the Fed built a house of paper. Now they're striking the match that could burn it down, leaving you and me to pay the price. Every cycle ends the same way: bubbles, bailouts, and broken retirements. That's why smart investors are moving what's real: gold and silver. When's the last time you actually held the wealth you spent your life working for? Folks, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have been helping Americans move from paper wealth into real, tangible assets. Numbers on a screen can disappear. Physical gold and silver, they've outlasted every crisis in history. Folks, please check out noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Get your free wealth protection kit today, noblegoldinvestments.com. Discover how simple it is to protect your future. If you're not a member yet, consider becoming a member. At the back end of this, we're going to be showing the Robert Salus interview from our Watchers series. You can go to streaming.lamarzulli.net. I believe it's Watchers 10 that we have the Robert Salus interview. I think you'll find it interesting. It's referenced here. This was big news when we broke the story. My late business partner, Richard Shaw, and I broke that story well over a decade ago now. Unbelievable when you think about it. So anyway, let's get into this. Peer-reviewed study links UFO sightings to nuclear tests. This is October 29th, but just a few days ago. Peer-reviewed research analyzing 1950s sky photos found unexplained transients, mirror-like flashes, appearing 45% more often within a day of nuclear tests, suggesting a non-random link between UAPs and human nuclear activity. The objects appeared before Sputnik, ruling out human-made satellites. So remember, you look back into the 50s, there are no satellites around the planet until Sputnik, which was, I grew up in that era. So, of course, this was big news. And I remember it. The Russians launched this thing. It was the first satellite to orbit the Earth. It was unbelievable. And that was huge. We think about it. That was huge. Now there's like so many satellites, there's so much space junk up there. It's like we need a traffic cop. The objects appeared before Sputnik, ruling out human-made satellites. Lead researcher Dr. Beatrice Villarroel stated they resemble nothing natural, implying artificial and possibly non-human technology. So once again, they're hinting towards something else, non-human technology. That's a game changer. Because if it's not us, then who is it? The New Agers will tell us these are the return of the Anunnaki. The ancient astronaut theorists will tell us, they've been here for thousands of years. They're just coming back. They're monitoring us. I agree. They're monitoring us. And I'll get into the punchline in just a little bit. Here's the kicker. Findings validate decades of military testimony, e.g. the Maalstrom Air Force Base in 1967, where UAPs disabled nuclear missiles, with retired Captain Robert Salus confirming ongoing incidents. Folks, look, I'm boasting here and I get it. We broke the story. Salus came to us. Robert Salus came to us and he said, other people have wanted me to come on the record, but I won't do it because they won't allow me any type of input in the editing process. Rick and I looked at each other and said, sure, we'll show you the rough footage, make any changes you want, and we'll go with it. He was taken aback by that. And we did. He came on the record, and the clip is at the end of this, and I'm going to show it to members only because that's kind of what we need to do. everything just can't be for free. But I digress. Published in scientific reports, the study systematically ruled out conventional explanations, debris, plate defects, and marks a move from fringe speculation to data-driven UAP research. So here's the deal. They make it sound like this is something new. MUFON's been in existence for, 20 years, more than that, whatever. There are people like myself who are ufologists. Tim Alvarino would certainly be another one. The late Dr. Roger Lair, certainly Dr. Roger. Roger appears in all of our films, all of our Watcher series. So, my business partner, my new business partner, Gil Zimmerman, because Richard passed away a number of years ago, we did 10 films on the UFO phenomena. We are the only Christian ministry on the planet to actually uncover metal from the Roswell debris field. We're the only film company, according to Chuck Sikowski, that actually shows the metal coming up out of a debris field outside of Roswell. We were there. We filmed there. I mean, it's incredible. So we've got close encounters of the first, second, third, and fourth kind. We've got a film on abductions. We've got the experts weighing in, where we sit down with exopolitics, head of exopolitics in Portugal, Francisco Carreira, talking about the whole UFO phenomena. Then over here, Preston Dennett, who his library is voluminous. He's got almost every book ever written on UFOs. Seriously, it's amazing. I'm exaggerating. But Preston and Francisco come on the record talking about the whole UFO phenomenon. We got a film on abductions, countermutilations, 2 films on Roswell, crop circles. We cover the whole gamut. Finally, what is the truth at the end? And that's the kicker, because what we are looking at are non-extraterrestrials, in my opinion. They are something else. They are interdimensional entities with a very nefarious agenda. So let's continue. With ERA now investigating UAPs and nuclear tensions rising, the phenomena, whether surveillance tech, unknown physics, or non-human intelligence, demand urgent transparency and further study. For decades, eyewitness accounts and military whistleblowers have claimed that unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, isn't it interesting how they change the verbiage from UFO to UAP? So now it's totally okay. And guess what? Where's my tinfoil hat? I should probably wear it here, because I think it's apropos. So, we're no longer in tinfoil hat land, right? There it is. We're no longer in tinfoil hat land because, Arrow is going to tell us all about it. And these nasty UFOs are now called UAPs. Oh, gee, all is well. All is good. Nonsense. 100% nonsense, in my opinion. So, what are we looking at here? And we know that unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, frequently appear near nuclear testing sites and military facilities. I will tell you why. It's conjecture on my part, but I will tell you why. By the way, I know that this show is monitored. I mean, I'm not boasting here, but I know it is. Why? Because we hear some of the terms which originate here in other news media. Just say it. Coincidence? You be the judge. Now, groundbreaking peer, and frankly, I'm honored that they would do that. Now, groundbreaking peer-reviewed research published in scientific reports has provided the first statistical evidence supporting the controversial connection, revealing that mysterious transient objects photographed in the 1950 sky correlate strongly with Cold War-era nuclear weapons tests. Isn't it interesting how what we see, Trump is talking about the conducting more nuclear tests? This is why we signed the nuclear treaty bans, not to explode these things in the atmosphere or even underground. And now Trump's bringing this. Why is he doing this? Again, I would point you to the Netflix film, House of Dynamite. You need to watch that. House of Dynamite. Why is it there? Why now? Why now? Why is Trump trying to reinstate the testing of nuclear weapons? Why is he doing this? You tell me. You tell me. In my opinion, there's too many rogue states that have access to this technology. And some of these rogue states are very much radicalized, and they don't care. So I'm just saying, you need to watch House of Dynamite. And spoiler alert, in that film, a supersonic missile, nuclear missile, is launched. That's like hitting, this is a quote from the film, a bullet with another bullet. Almost impossible. Going way too fast to hit with another missile. Way too fast. So we never know. And that in that film, House of Dynamite, who launched the missile. It's never told to us. It always remains a mystery. Think about that. So let that sink in. I'm going someplace with this. Let's continue. The study conducted by researchers from the Vanishing and Appearing Sources during a century of observation, VASCO project, analyzed over 100,000 historical photographs taken by the Palomar Observatory Sky Survey between 1949 and 57, before the launch of Sputnik, humanity's first artificial satellite. These images captured strange, star-like flashes referred to as transients that appeared briefly before vanishing without explanation. Dr. Beatrice Villarroel, I think that's right, lead researcher from the Nordic Institute of Theoretical Physics, said there are objects before Sputnik 1 when humans had nothing up there. And these things, no matter what they are, they need to be really flat, reflective like a mirror. There it is. I looked up and saw a dull silver disc. Fatima, right here. Fatima 2. I looked up and saw a dull silver disc. I'm not making this stuff up. 1917, that was, in my opinion, a UFO event. You need to watch the film. This is what we do. This is what we do. And it's harbingers of deception. And thousands of people, I looked up and saw a dull silver disc. Why are they saying that? Because when they looked up, that's what they saw. And we publish it and we show it in the film, the only photograph we have of the object over the apparition site. And it's in the film. And thank you to Jose Machado, who gave us that. He had access to the archives at Fatima, the archives at Fatima, Portugal, the original glass plates taken by Joshua Benolio. And he showed them. He comes on the film. That disc-like object directly over the apparition site is not a scratch, is not a chemical burn. It's nothing more than some sort of a disc-like object, which is what people saw. Just saying. Believe what you want to believe. I'm not going to argue with it. If you think that the children there, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, saw Mary of the Bible, hallelujah, good for you. But I don't believe that. And having done a deep study and created 2 films on it, strange phenomena, seriously? Watch the films. Get educated. Do your homework. The study found that these transients were 45% more likely to appear within 1 day of a nuclear weapons test, with the strongest correlation occurring the day after detonation, between 1951 and 1957. The U.S., Soviet Union, and Great Britain conducted 124 above-ground nuclear tests, and the timing of these flashes suggests they were not random atmospheric anomalies or photographic defects. A statistical breakthrough, UAPs and nuclear activity. The researchers compiled a data set spanning 2,718 days, comparing transient sightings with nuclear test dates and UAP reports from the UFO CAT database, a repository of UFO sightings maintained by the Center for UFO Studies. That's CUFO. Their findings revealed an 8.5% increase in transient activity for every additional UAP report on a given date. The highest number of transients occurred on days with both nuclear tests and UAP sightings, suggesting a compounding effect. No transients were observed after March 1956, despite 38 additional nuclear tests in the following year, raising questions about whether the phenomenon abruptly ceased or changed behavior. The study systematically ruled out conventional explanations, such as photographic plate defects, atmospheric debris, natural astronomical phenomena, given the object's flat, mirror-like appearance and stationary behavior. I mean, what are we looking at here? UFOs, there you can see it. It's 2 saucers. That's why they call them flying saucers. And it's very reflective. And they're all different sizes. These findings lend scientific credibility to decades of military testimony linking UAPs to nuclear activity. Former Air Force personnel reported UAPs disabling nuclear missiles, including the infamous 1967 Maalstrom Air Force Base incident, where multiple intercontinental ballistic missiles malfunctioned during a UFO encounter. Retired U.S. Air Force Captain Robert Salus has publicly stated these objects were able to deactivate our nuclear-tipped missiles, and they still can. Think about that, folks. Let that sink in. The study offers cautiously avoid definite conclusions, but acknowledge the implications. Nature can always surprise us with something we could never imagine. So I cannot exclude that there might be some other explanation that is just outside my imagination. But from what I see, I cannot find any other consistent explanation than that we are looking at something artificial. This ties us back into now we're saying the future of UAP research, a new scientific frontier. So think about this. You go back 15 years ago, this subject was completely taboo. This subject was for tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. Isn't it amazing how people like me and Tim Alberino and Steve Quayle and Gary Stearman and others have been banging this drum, Dr. Roger Lear, our Watchers series, and on it goes. And now all of a sudden, it's okay to talk about it. And you get all these Johnny-come-latelys, who make movies, that's all I'm going to say, but really have never studied the phenomena. And they're all over the place. And these so-called experts come on the record. How many books have you written? We have books, books on this stuff. We've got 10 films on the UFO phenomena. And yet, and I say this with all due respect, for the most part, the church could care less. I've done my work. There it is, rungs of disclosure. We're up to the 23rd rung on the ladder of disclosure. I don't think this deserves to be another rung. It's sort of an addendum to run number 17 because, I'm sorry, run number 13 with Robert Salus. I believe it was 13 because it's quoting what we've already covered in the book. Is the book ahead of its time? You be the judge. You be the judge. Let's continue. The study marks a watershed moment in UAP research, shifting the conversation from fringe speculation to peer-reviewed, data-driven investigation. While the exact nature of these transients remains unknown, the research suggests it could represent advanced surveillance technology, potentially foreign or non-human, an unknown atmospheric phenomena triggered by nuclear detonations, non-human intelligence monitoring human nuclear activity, a hypothesis echoed by investigative journalist Ross Coulthard, who noted this might be the first scientific evidence of a non-human intelligence. With nuclear tensions resurging globally, understanding these mysterious objects, whether man-made, extraterrestrial, or something beyond our current comprehension, has never been more urgent. So let me just close by showing you guys this clip right here.
Turner Gottman, Ranking Member Garcia, distinguished members of the House Oversight Subcommittee on National Security, Representatives Burchett and Luna. My name is Ryan Fobbs Graves, and I'm a former F-18 pilot with a decade of service in the U.S. Navy, including 2 deployments in Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Inherent Resolve. I have experienced advanced UAP firsthand, and I'm here to voice concerns of more than 30 commercial aircrew and military veterans who have confided their similar encounters with me. Today, I would like to highlight 3 critical issues that demand our action. As we convene here, UAP are in our airspace, but they are grossly underreported. These sightings are not rare or isolated, they are routine. Military aircrew and commercial pilots, trained observers whose lives depend on accurate identification, are frequently witnessing these phenomena. The stigma attached to UAP is real and powerful and challenges national security. It silences commercial pilots who fear professional repercussions, discourages witnesses. It is only compounded by recent government claims questioning the credibility of eyewitness testimony. Parts of our government are aware of more about UAP than they let on, but excessive classification practices keep crucial information hidden. Since 2021, all UAP videos are classified as secret or above. This level of secrecy not only impedes our understanding, but fuels speculation and mistrust. In 2014, I was an F-18 Foxtrot pilot in the Navy Fighter Attack Squadron 11, the Red Rippers, and I was stationed at NAS Oceana in Virginia Beach. After upgrades were made to our jet's radar systems, we began detecting unknown objects operating in our airspace. At first, we assumed they were radar errors, but soon we began to correlate the radar tracks with multiple onboard sensors, including infrared systems, eventually through visual ID. During a trading mission in Warning Area Whiskey 72, 10 miles off the coast of Virginia Beach, 2 F-18 Super Hornets were split by a UAP. The object, described as a dark gray or black cube inside of a clear sphere, came within 50 feet of the lead aircraft and was estimated to be 5 to 15 feet in diameter. The mission commander terminated the flight immediately and returned to base. Our squadron submitted a safety report, but there was no official acknowledgement of the incident and no further mechanism to report the sightings. Soon, these encounters became so frequent that aircrew would discuss the risk of UAP as part of their regular pre-flight briefs. Recognizing the need for action and answers, I founded Americans for Safe Aerospace. The organization has since become a haven for UAP witnesses who were previously unspoken due to the absence of a safe intake process. More than 30 witnesses have come forward, and almost 5,000 Americans have joined us in the fight for transparency at safeaerospace.org. The majority of witnesses are commercial pilots at major airlines. Often, they are veterans with decades of flying experience. Pilots are reporting UAP at altitudes that appear above them at 40,000 feet, potentially in low Earth orbit or in the gray zone below the Kármán line, making inexplainable maneuvers like right-hand turns and retrograde orbits or J-hooks. Sometimes these reports are recurring, with numerous recent sightings north of Hawaii and in the North Atlantic. Other veterans are also coming forward to us regarding UAP encounters in our airspace and oceans. The most compelling involve observations of UAP by multiple witnesses and sensor systems. I believe these accounts are only scratching the surface, and more will share their experiences once it is safe to do so. In closing, I recognize the skepticism surrounding this topic. If everyone could see the sensor and video data I witnessed, our national conversation would change. I urge us to put aside stigma and address the security and safety issue this topic represents. If UAP are foreign drones, it is an urgent national security problem. If it is something else, it is an issue for science. In either case, unidentified objects are concerned for flight safety. The American people deserve to know what is happening in our skies. It is long overdue. Thank you.
Anyway, there you go, folks. That's it for this show. And I'm going to, once again, I'm going to go to members only here because I need to. Let me get out of here for just a second. If you want to do a deep dive on this, then may I humbly suggest the 10-box DVD film and Runs of Disclosure, because we are on this book only goes up to the 17th rung, and we are up to rung number 23. Your Congress is talking about this. I just showed you the clip. That's in the halls of Congress. So we've got the goods right here. You need to do your homework. You can go to streaming.lamarzulli.net, streaming.lamarzulli.net, watch all 10 films, pick up the book. Thanks for watching, folks. We'll be back here tomorrow. Don't wait for YouTube to tell you that there's a show. We do a show 7 days a week, 365. Thanks for watching.